Everyone, I'm Jackie. I'm SVP of MediaLab, which is the owner and operator of multiple media brands such as Genius, Imager, World Star Hip Hop. And I'll allow my guests to introduce themselves, but I'm thrilled to be here with Alyssa. Alyssa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Alyssa Buetikofer. I'm the CMO of McDonald's Canada. Also a mom of 3 little ones and just having a good time in Cam this week.
Nice to be up here, and really nice to be here, Brand Innovators. Thank you so much for having us for this Women in Marketing Summit. We really appreciate the time for women in the space. So, love to start quickly. We're going to get into all the great things, but we really want to first ask Alyssa what her favorite menu item is, or what your fan truth is. Tell us a little about how you connect to the brand personally.
Sure. First of all, my favorite menu item is an Egg McMuffin. I eat so many Egg McMuffins, but I customize it. I do double egg, no meat, and it is just so delicious any time of day. In Canada, we have it all day. You asked me about my favorite fan truth, and I don't know if everybody knows what a fan truth is, but we at McDonald's over the last 4 to 5 years realized that we were not leaning into our fans and using what our fans love about the brand to grow and build connections with consumers. We were trying to reach people that didn't love McDonald's, maybe didn't even like McDonald's, and convince them to come. And that has been a massive part of the change, I think, in our marketing strategies as well as success over the last 4 to 5 years. My favorite, or the one that I relate to the most, so fan truths can range anything from one day you had your last Happy Meal and you didn't know it. McDonald's is a place where pickle lovers and pickle haters can be friends. Mine is probably more about stealing French fries from my kids after telling them I don't want any, which I would imagine a lot of you can relate to as well. Can you, Jackie?
I can.
Yeah.
I'm also a pickle lover, which I also relate to. So I take the pickles from my kids' sandwiches and put them on mine. So that
See, exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
There's a lot around pickles.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about those big creative swings, right? Because in the last 4 to 5 years, McDonald's has really leaned into these fan truths. You've leaned into culture in a way that is unprecedented, both through music and through nostalgia with Christmas. Leading to fandom. So let's unpack some of that, and then we'll get into some other things. So one of the things we talked about in prepping for this was, how do you share and scale these ideas across global and local markets? We have some really great visuals for the group, which we'd love to share. But talk to us a little bit about how, a campaign you're proud of. And I think we're going to talk about our frequent flyer program.
Sure. Right? Yeah.
Tell us about how this comes to life. And one of the things we talked about in preparation for this is how do you decide, right, that this is going to be the thing for your market?
Yep. So what you're looking at right now is a program we call our Frequent Fryer program. Last year we did this in Canada where we launched this campaign. Anytime you bought fries through the app, you were entered to win a trip to anywhere in the world to try fries in another market. And it was all about tapping into the fact that you can count on McDonald's in any country, and like you want to seek out and try McDonald's food in any market. This year we flipped it, and we brought different seasoned flavored fries from other markets into Canada. So we brought like the world into Canada. And we also created a gamification component where we hid what we're calling fry cons in out of home and digital advertising. And when you found a fry con, you could enter the code in our app. It's actually still live right now. And you had a chance to win free fries and other prizes. We would never have done a program like this 5 years ago. We are trying to have more fun, I would say, be more relatable. One of the things that we think about now, like 5 years ago, you would ask the question, is this going to work? Now we're asking the question, is it real? And so if we're leaning into a fan truth or an insight that we know is real, then we feel more confident taking some of these swings.
Can I ask a question there?
Yeah. Well, the global flavors was more subjective, probably, Jackie. Canada is it's like a multicultural mosaic. It is extremely diverse. We have so many different segments within Canada, and we wanted to do a better job of connecting with some of those audiences, as well as just making sure that we are bringing our iconic fries from around the world for customers to try here. And we felt that people would get in on it. We just launched 2 new flavors yesterday. I actually don't know how they're doing, ramen and tzatziki, so I need my team to tell me. Can I tell you about another one, sharing and stealing? So Grimace Shake, I'm guessing everybody knows about Grimace Shake, or I hope. Last year, the U.S. team brought this to market to celebrate Grimace's birthday. You know, we made up Grimace's birthday, I think. And it was a great campaign. The team did a wonderful job, but like what really made this special was when that TikTok trend took off, which wasn't something we created or willed or did. Our fans did it. And it was, that was a little interesting to think about how to, allow that to cultivate, but not lean into it to as much of an extent. But it was so successful that we thought, oh my gosh, we need to bring this to Canada. The number of people on social that were mad that we didn't have Grimace Shake in Canada was high. I was very jealous of my U.S. peers. So we just brought this in. We shared and stole it, or we stole it from our U.S. friends. And we had some restaurants sell out of the shake within a matter of 4 or 5 days. It was phenomenal. Like the fandom, the desire to participate in this was unreal. And that's something that McDonald's, we actually encourage, that countries steal great ideas from each other. We have an award now in our internal marketing awards that is the Share and Steal Award. So we are, incentivized to make sure that we are taking the best of the best from the markets and bringing it in. And so this was one of my steal moments.
And as this is the Women in Marketing Summit, so as a working mom who works for this incredible, the number one most recognizable brands, how do your children feel about this? Do they think you're like the coolest mom ever?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I remember when we first moved to Canada, some of my kids' teachers were like, "Tell me about your job. My your son is telling us that you make the food at McDonald's. Tell me more about that." So it's really fun.
I think that my kids have told their teachers that I'm a musician.
How did they get that?
Because at Genius, it's a music and music knowledge company, which is our biggest property for the portfolio. And I'm always showing them things that we're doing, right? So something we did recently for Paramount with Bob Marley, and I'm showing them the work. And I'm like, there's what? Yeah. Like, I don't...
So you're friends with Bob Marley? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, people. So, a little bit about, these things like Grimace's birthday. Another thing comes to mind, which is like tapping into fandoms, right? So we're talking now about cultural relevance and how do you really sort of connect with consumers? And this is this new kind of approach. But then how do you sort of double click into that with this idea that you can actually go even deeper? Yep. And you do that with music, you do that with anime. One program we're sharing today is the McDonald's program, where you literally put the logo on its head, which...
Our fans did that. We just tapped into it. We realized that we were already showing up in anime because the creators were creating our brand within those platforms as McDonald's, because for trademark reasons, they couldn't use McDonald's. When we realized that, we're like, what a treasure trove that we naturally have this presence and we're doing nothing to cultivate or, around it. And so when we realized that, we decided that we had an opportunity with this program to really make sure that we were connecting with anime fans through the brand. And we created this entire story essentially around McDonald's, but it was not very promotional. It was more authentic. It was more of a brand marketing opportunity because we needed to make sure we were authentic to those fans. And then the way that we connected it back to the business, we brought in a McNuggets dip, and that became part of our McDonald's meal. but we try to make sure that we are going deep and authentic and relevant with the core audience while still providing something that the masses that come through our doors every day at McDonald's can participate in. I call it the double dip. And I think that that is one of the reasons that we've been successful with programs like that.
Incredible. And I imagine opportunities like this happen often at McDonald's. Everyone has their story. Everyone has their adventures. Where is that decision being made? I imagine you're in a room and the feed is sort of endless, right? So like even back to maybe Grimace, right? When the TikTok trend was coming, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yep.
How do you know when to lean in, and how do you know when to say we're going to pass on this one? And tie it back to the business.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we have a scorecard that you can just rank everything on. It's very.
Maybe you say you have some sort of algorithm.
No, and we're not. We can't predict everything, right? It really is art and science. I'll tell you. I'm going to just change this. One of the programs that I actually just did in Canada was a program called Menu Remix. So we had this song that somebody created just singing our entire menu in 1989. It was an actual McDonald's commercial of this guy just going up to the point of sale and singing the entire menu. And
it would be fun if we asked if anyone can do it in the audience.
Yeah, you probably could. Someone probably can. We recreated that song experience with Little Yachty, and then we created menu remix items, so like a chicken cheeseburger. And it was exactly what I just said about a double dip, and so successful. We sold so many of these products. The engagement with all of the Little Yachty content was tremendous. But I bring that up because actually I was in a meeting with my agency partners, and we do these things now that we call open briefs, where instead of briefing an individual menu item, we're briefing for a big culturally relevant idea that connects with younger generations. And they brought maybe 3 or 4 ideas forward. And when you're in those meetings and you're like, oh, none of these are right, but you really want one of them to be right. I walked out and was talking to our account lead. He's like, Alyssa, I'm going to break all the rules right now with my peers, but there was one idea that we didn't bring forward that I just have to tell you about. And it was this. And I'm like, that's the idea. We need to do that. We have to figure out how to make it right and authentic for the brand, but that is the idea. Let's go. Let's make it happen. So that wasn't a ton of data analysis. That was gut and intuition.
Yeah. It's nice to hear that there's still that, right? We're at a major conference right now, and a lot of it is data driven and AI driven. It's nice to know that even at the highest levels, right, you're using gut and intuition to drive purpose.
Yeah. We do both, but yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. So back to one of the great pleasures of being here with you is that we also do get to partner together, which is amazing because we do have a young, youthful audience, both on the anime side with Innovators, but also on the music side of Genius. Is there any other programs within that remix that you're excited about, or any other ideas coming across your desk that you're sort of, or even a bad idea? Has a bad idea come across your desk and maybe you jumped in, you're like, maybe we should have done that?
Are you asking me to spill my secrets for the rest of the year, Jackie? Okay, let's think about a bad. Great, yeah. Let's think about a bad idea. This is small, but in hindsight, I understand why customers didn't understand what we did. So a year or 2 ago, we created a campaign around not wanting to share your fries, your McNuggets with your partner, with your friends, right? And we were like, okay, well, we're going to create an element that makes it possible for you to have your 6 McNuggets, have your 10 McNuggets, but then still give your friend that one. So we sold single pack McNuggets, one. And we thought it was funny, right? We thought people wouldn't take us too seriously. No, they were very confused. People were very confused why we were selling one McNugget. And
what did you charge for one McNugget?
I don't know. Good question. Not a lot, Jackie.
Sorry, we don't understand.
we were just doing it to have fun and have some levity with people. But you also forget not everybody understands the context, right? So there are people that walk in our restaurants every day. It's not like they've seen the campaign. It's not like they've interacted on social. It's not like they understand that dynamic. So then they see that we're selling one McNugget and they're wondering what we're doing. So it sounded good for buzz purposes, but it actually confused the hell out of our customers.
It's actually a great example of being too close to the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Too close.
Yes.
Because I would argue as a McDonald's consumer, I forget that I'm sharing sometimes.
Yep.
Or swatting away my children. Let's pivot a little bit because we talked about the work and we're just privileged to have you here. But we also want to talk about being a female leader. Mm-hmm. You run a fairly large organization. You have grown and expanded in the role within Canada, and I feel like one of the things we don't talk a lot about here is how you feel personally about your own growth, right? I know myself. I even went to a dinner on Monday night here, and I was like, do I belong at this dinner? It's very sort of seeing people I might have been on the younger end of the table. Talk to us about maybe imposter syndrome or being your authentic self as a leader. What are some of your tenets that sort of drive you?
One of the motto that I live my life by is to own my brand and live it every day. And that I tell everybody this, especially as I came into the Canadian organization, as I've moved to different teams or companies or departments throughout my career. I early on in my career, I very much felt that I needed to be this like buttoned up, perfect corporate, not human. And it's strange because I was at an agency, which that was not the vibe, but for some reason, that's what I felt I needed to be. And I made a mistake, like a pretty public mistake with my team. And I remember talking to one of my bosses at the time, who is still today is a mentor of mine. And he was like, that's the best thing you could have done is make that mistake. I'm like, explain this to me, please. And they're like, your team needed to see that you are a human, that you are not perfect. You need to give them permission to be themselves. And I just had like a revelation in that moment that me trying to be somebody I'm not at work, instead of bringing my authentic self to work, was not what I wanted to do for the rest of my career. And so I changed. I'm casual. I sometimes swear. I bring the me at home to my team and my work and my partnerships. And one, it's way easier, but it's so much better for everybody. So yes, and I know you believe in that too.
Yeah, I absolutely relate to that because I have a big personality. I have big hair.
Yeah.
And growing up, my first job was at the Wall Street Journal. I was there for a fairly long time, and I would show up and we had to wear suits, but I would tie my hair back really tight, right? Or I would sort of mute myself in meetings, and I didn't want to be too excited. And it turned out I wasn't giving my best self because I didn't know how to be that person.
Yep.
And eventually gave myself permission to be true to who I am. I think that my team who's here today appreciates authenticity and understands that we all have permission to be flawed.
Yep.
Right?
Wow, suits. I can't even think back to days when we had to wear suits. Yeah. I actually just donated some of my suits that have not been worn in 20 years. So it was time. Yes. And heels.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
We'd be here in heels right now.
Yeah. And in New York City, where I lived and where the office was, at that age, it's like, do I walk to work in sneakers and be that person in the pencil skirt?
Yep.
Or do I wear a heel? Anyway, I digress. So another, I think, thing about being here at this conference is that we're surrounded by a lot of different conversations. Are there, sort of women in the industry or things you're trying to get out of this as a female leader that you can bring back home to your team, that you feel like you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I'm here to be inspired by the creativity. Like, we are really on a mission to make sure that we are building on our creative excellence and effectiveness year after year. But that's the fun. I mean, that's also some of the fun part is like getting little tidbits from peers, from additional leaders. I was actually upset that I missed Kara Swisher on Monday. Yeah. I just listened to a podcast that she did it was Adam Grant and her, which Adam Grant is like so captivating the way he keeps your attention. But I mean, she's pretty badass, and I would have loved to have seen her and like what she can help apply to our industry from her lens. So yeah, I will seek out more of those.
I actually love that you brought her up because she was actually originally a Wall Street Journal editor, and now her podcast with Scott Galloway, Pivot, is one of my sort of Bibles.
Did you see her Monday?
I didn't see her Monday. But here's a female who was in a highly male space.
Yep.
Not only as a writer and editor, but also in the tech space, which was bro culture. Is there a way that, maybe to riff off that a little bit, is there a way that you advise or mentor your own sort of rising female leaders on your team? How do you how do you communicate, right? The things that we're talking about that sometimes feel intangible, that you can't put on a PowerPoint.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes just telling stories and giving actual examples. So like my brand motto, I tell everybody that I consider myself lucky, but it's all not luck. I've been very purposeful, not all luck, purposeful in my career to get different experiences. And I've taken, in McDonald's, I've been there 13 years. I've had 8 jobs across 5 different departments, global, US, and Canada. And a lot of those were lateral moves. Some of them were actually jobs I didn't want, but I knew that they were going to be better for my career long term. And so sometimes I think just sharing those types of stories helps them think about how they apply it to their decisions and their career and the leader that they want to be.
Do you ever feel as you're going through this process, raising your hand for an opportunity, maybe being passed up for an opportunity, that you are at a disadvantage as a working mom? Or did you feel?
No, I have never. I feel like there is so much support within McDonald's for female leaders, for parents. I mean, you have to figure out how to make it work, and you have to have the army around you to do that. But I've never once felt like I would not be given the same consideration or opportunity because of that. Actually, Morgan Flatley, our global CMO, she has 3 kids. When she came into the U.S. organization as our CMO, she had a 1-year-old, I think, or a 2-year-old. And honestly, just watching her and watching that was so inspiring to me to think, okay, I can have a bigger family and make this work.
It almost makes you feel more powerful, right? It's like we can do so much.
Yes, we can.
Any advice for the room as a female leader in marketing around either career or around leadership or career? And maybe we'll end on that note. We'll open to questions.
Okay. I mean, I think you're taking away 2 of the things that I think mean the most. Make sure that you are being your authentic self. Like, I know that word is so overused, but it's so true. For a reason, yeah. And it's going to help with your own personal fulfillment too. And I think it will help accelerate you at your job. And then being open to different experiences. It absolutely, I would not have this job right now if I hadn't said yes to some of those jobs I didn't want. If I didn't map my career experiences and identify where my gaps were, knowing I wanted to be a CMO, and then I sought out some roles. I had a colleague tell me she was retiring in a meeting 5 years ago, and I literally followed her to the bathroom. I was like, I want your job next. And, found a way to go after it and get it. And that doesn't always work out, but, I've been open to things I didn't think that I should be. And I've really sought and fought for things that I wanted. And I think both have helped.
Well, learning those disciplines and those chances that you took.
Exactly.
To be a more well-rounded, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. Maybe we'll open up to questions.
Great.
Okay. Questions to the audience?
Hi, Allie from MediaLab. We roll deep here. So you said you're always open to new experiences. Obviously, CMO of Canada, what's next? What's the next experience? Other than your sabbatical and hanging out with your family.
I shared I'm taking 4 weeks off right after this. I'm very much looking forward to it. Yay, right? It's a perk of working at McDonald's.
No one takes enough time, right?
No, and I've never done this. What's next for McDonald's? I mean, we're going to continue to find areas where we can capture and cultivate fandom. I shared this with somebody earlier this week. We used to be an organization that solely, built our marketing calendar around products. And now we're really doing it around experience, around those connection opportunities, around brand moments. And of course, we need to make sure that they're right. We are, and driving into our restaurant, we're a restaurant business. But we have really flipped how we even think about building to connect with consumers. So you'll continue to see that. Sorry, I can't share the next big thing, but we have some fun things coming.
Hi, I'm Diana Dilworth with Brand Innovators. Pay equity is still a big issue in this industry, and at corporations like your McDonald's and so forth, what is being done and what can leaders, especially leaders in this room, what kinds of advice can sort of help lift the next generation up?
Yeah. I mean, it's a priority for us sitting in senior leadership roles, and it's something that we actively work on. So in every single year when we're going through our traditional processes, we do external benchmarking, and we actually do make sure that if there are gaps identified, that we're helping to close them. And that's not just a Canada thing, that is a global thing. So I think if you have, a voice with the right senior leaders in your org, or you are one yourself, just making sure that you're keeping that a priority, we will get to the right spot.
I'm Liz. I work at Nestle, so also a global company that has a lot of single market executions. And so I'm really interested, as a senior leader for a specific market like Canada, what do you find that McDonald's does really well in terms of like the global versus the in-country, and what's a work in progress?
We are, I think, very similar in that we believe in creating for each local market and local consumer base. And so while there are moments over the year that we come together around global campaigns, anime was one that we executed in, I think, over 30 markets. We did a next generation of our Famous Orders campaign with As Featured in last year, where we showcased all the ways that McDonald's shows up in movies and pop culture. And that was a global campaign executed in over 50 markets. But most of what we do, my team creates. The Menu Remix program, my team created that for Canadians because we believe that that is the best way to connect. Our menus aren't exactly the same across every market either. We certainly have some items that are core equities we sell in every restaurant in the world, but we need to make sure that we're catering to local cuisines. And we're lucky that from the top down, our like my global CMO, even our global CEO believe in that. Because you can certainly see a model where all of a sudden you think you need to get to more standardization, and I don't think that'd be right for us. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.